Okay, so we're going to look at the Cleric and revised species. We've got David here. We also have RL and Josh here, not on camera. Okay, so this latest playtest, the Cleric and revised species, we will look at starting with the Cleric. I don't know if they talked about this before, but basically they're standardizing on the 13 in the primary ability score being required to multi-class, going into and out of a class. I think that's been standard for a while. Yeah, I think that's a big deal. So I did a little bit of research on the term species and the term race and all the history of those two terms, and it's really very interesting to research that stuff. And of course, species being a biological term isn't 100% agreed on. So there's like various definitions. There's 12, 13 different definitions of species, which may or may not include being able to interbreed or not interbreed. They even talk about defining a species as basically it's your lineage. It's who your parents were and going back through your lineage of your parents to determine when species break apart. Now, of course, all human beings are one species. We're all Homo sapiens. And it was an unfortunate thing that race came into the picture in it was the 1600s, about the same time that slavery came into being in this new colonial system. Of course, there's always been slavery. So that race term really picked up about the 1600s. And unfortunately, it's got a lot of baggage, and it basically means what you think it means, dividing people by what they look like. And that's not scientifically valid. So I have no problem with race going away and something taking its place, and species is okay with me. It's a little scientific for me sounding. So I kind of like lineage. Lineage and ancestry, about the same thing, really. The one nice thing about using lineage too that doesn't have the baggage of species is species might, on some scientific terms, not allow you to have a half-elf or a half-orc or anything like that, whereas lineages would let you be, any past ancestry. And you could then have the, choose species specific traits you want to have for your character. So I'd leave that open. But the nice thing is science does leave it open, because species isn't necessarily locked down to not being able to breed. There are some scientific definitions of species that do allow that. All right, let's move on from species. Okay, so Cleric. Big changes on Cleric. So, and this is big changes all around, it looks like, so far. Prepared spells instead of spell slots per spell level. So before you'd prepare spells as a Cleric, you'd have your level plus your wisdom modifier, and they could be of any different level prepared. Now you prepare as many at each level as you have slots. So you're locked in, for example, if you're 7th level, you're preparing 4 first, 3 second, 3 third, and 1 fourth. Whereas before you could have prepared, all first level spells if you wanted, and just upcast some of them. Another big one, cantrips you can change every day. So cantrips are amongst the prepared spells, and you can change them at each long rest. So that's a big change too. Then proficiencies, all the same, except now you notice that they give you what they recommend. And they do this across the board. They give a recommended, this is what a first level character or a starting character should have. Starting equipment's simplified a little bit, because there's only one choice in armor and only one choice in weapon, given that all clerics now start out without the heavy armor training and martial weapons. And we'll see when they can get that in a second. Channel Divinity, so here's a big change. You get a proficiency bonus per long rest, so you start with 2 of them right at first level. But you don't recharge them at a short rest. So when you would normally be 6th level and you'd get 2, and then 2 with every short rest, basically. Now you get 3 for the whole day. And then Divine Spark, it does D8 damage times your proficiency bonus or healing. And then I really like Undead, but there's a little change here you might not notice. Undead before used to have to be able to either see you or hear you for you to affect them, and that's gone. So I guess in theory, the power of your holy symbol just goes, washes over them and affects them, even if they can't see or hear you. Another neat thing I like about the dazed or the condition is they don't have to run. If they do move, they have to end their move further away from you, and this is a little problem here. That means during their move they can get closer, as long as at the end of their move they're further. That should be like, they can never get closer is what it should say, I think. But it shouldn't force them to move, but if they do move, every move's got to be further away, I would think.
The undead potentially being unturned, for example.
Almost like either they get a save or it's a concentration or something like that where it could end early.
Yeah, if they see an ally attacked, they get a save, something like that. I'm just making stuff up, but I would like to see an end to that sort of dynamic. It's not
still better though than the dynamic of you have undead fight, your cleric turns all the undead, and then you have to watch them run away. And either that's just the end of the fight, or you're chasing them down.
Right.
Well, there's always been a certain friction in D&D for the turn undead ability. It's of course canonical from the very first part of the game, but it's also has the potential to trivialize a whole class of encounters if you've got a cleric and you've got enough turn undeads to turn, a certain number of undead encounters per day into sort of a fizzle that does nothing. And in the past, the D&D designers have complained about that as kind of an unfun friction between the class and its traditional ability and a whole class of foes. But clearly, we're seeing here the D&D team continuing to honor the game's tradition and keep that ability as a standard for clerics and something that's still a pretty strong ability.
Yeah, and now it's right at first level and twice. So, yeah, a lot more.
And that's more, right?
Yep. Used to be you didn't do it till second level, and then only one time until I think like sixth level.
But it was per short rest, right?
Yeah, but it was for short rest.
Yeah.
All right.
So if you want to encounter an adventure that's the tour through the graveyard, and your party's packing the party is packing a cleric, then you're either going to have a lot of boring encounters, or you better up the number of undead that appear.
So again, with prepared spells, they have the suggested prepared spells like they do with everything. And let's see, we already talked about how it's equal to the slots. Then second level, they had Holy Order. This is where you can take Protector or Scholar or Thaumaturge, which are like starting abilities of various different subclasses that the cleric would have. Like a lot of them would give you heavy armor. A lot of them would give you knowledge. A lot of them would give you an extra spell or two. Like Thaumaturgy, interestingly, talks about how you can prepare one extra 0-level spell from the Divine Spell list, and you get to change it whenever you finish a short rest. So, more information. In addition, you regain one expanded use of your channel divinity whenever you finish a short rest. So, Thaumaturge gives you even more channeling divinity.
I love the Holy Orders in general because it makes it even more different options for different characters. Instead of all life clerics kind of being pretty similar, you can have a life cleric protector versus a life cleric scholar, and those are two different characters in certain respects.
Yeah, and you can really mix and match and make the character you want that way too.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah,
I do too. It adds color. I mean, obviously you shouldn't let this drive your role playing, but if you have a vision of a character that you want to, and I'm not talking min-max, I just talk about what you envision your character to be, this allows you to guide yourself instead of always being the heavy armor clerk. It's always blah, 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 blah. I think this allows more specialization to be more of a scholar, because I mean, I like it. It allows, I think it's going to feed into role playing a lot better, at least in my opinion.
Agreed.
One of the nice things about the scholar is it kind of patches a strange quirk of the game where your cleric probably wasn't trained in religion.
I know.
Probably wasn't very good at it, because clerics, as you know, are not going to take intelligence as a high score.
Yeah, that always cracked me up.
Yeah.
My cleric does not know religion very well.
Yep.
at least not as good as that wizard does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so now a big change is the subclasses. Even across the board, all classes, they come in at third level. And so for the cleric, that's a big change. You get your domain spells at third level now. And if we look at the life cleric sample, you're going to miss your first level extra domain spells, which it'd be nice if they put the first level spells there, even though you don't get them until your third level, just to have that extra bump on the first level so they're all equal, first through fifth level spells. I noticed that little quirk about it.
So
go ahead, RL.
So how many subclasses? I heard they're only going to do 4 subclasses per class.
Yeah.
So what 4 are they going to pick for cleric though? That's
good point. Yeah, because clerics starts out of the gate with like 20.
There's a phenomenal amount, and they all have, well.
So here's a question. So
maybe some don't apply, but sorry, go ahead, Josh.
No, it's okay. They explained that the reason that they moved this from first level to third level was because a lot of people who maybe were just starting to play D&D, kind of throwing them with a class where they're overwhelmed with choices was bad, and that makes a lot of sense. Are they going to be doing that with other classes that got their subclass at first level, like Sorcerer and Warlock?
Yeah.
All of them.
Across the board,
I
they
think they're
said.
going to do it all. To prevent
Okay.
multiclassing is what it's really, right? Isn't that what it is? Like,
That's part
you're
of
not
it.
going to dip. And yeah, that's 100% what
That's
it is.
part of it. I think
Yeah.
there's a little sneaky thing I was going to talk about at the end, but maybe I can talk about it now. Is they're going after the digitization strongly, and so they, the more stuff they can do consistently, the easier it'll be to program that game. So that might
Like
be
that's-
feeding some of it too.
And that's the prepared spells too. Is probably
Yeah.
something.
The less
that
exceptions to the
feeds
rule they
into that.
have, the better off they are.
That makes sense.
Okay, so third level, you get your domain spells. I'm fine with that. I mean, it's like, you started worshipping a deity right at the start, and you unlocked some extra secrets after a little bit of experience. And so you have those domain spells. That's fine with me. I don't have a problem with that.
Agreed.
Every adventure is going to start at the third level now. I can already see that.
A lot do already.
Yeah.
Or they pay real lip service to the first two levels.
Yeah.
Okay, so now before when you turned undead, at certain levels of cleric, you would automatically destroy certain CR undead. And that's gone, and it's replaced with this smite undead, which gives you damage to undead once you hit 5th level. D8 times your proficiency bonus, so it will have the same effect where very low CRs get destroyed, but it will affect all undead. So
I love this
Yeah.
because you no longer have to then try to figure out what the CR rating is for undead.
Exactly, yeah. It is. I like it.
And nothing to look up.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, Blessed Strikes. Let's see here. Takes damage from one of your 0 level spells. All clerics kind of had this in the past, but extra D8 radiant damage.
Did it always include cantrips? Because I didn't think it did.
Some did, I forget what domain. Maybe light domain might have. Let's look up.
Okay.
Light domain.
Well,
Potent spell casting. Starting at 8th level, you add your wisdom mod to the damage deal with the cleric cantrip. So
I like this because it doesn't punish clerics, non-light domain clerics, who were the build was meant to be more of a caster than a melee fighter.
Mhm.
Because I remember when I was doing my life cleric, the way I played him, I wanted him to be back casting Sacred Flame, but I was doing less damage than if I had gone up there because I didn't get that extra 1d8 that I would with melee.
Yeah. Okay, then at 9th level, you get a second Holy Order option, and that's about the gist of the main changes. Anything to add there, David?
I'm disappointed that the second Holy Order option, there isn't an option for stronger additions to your existing Holy Order. It kind of seems like it dilutes the Holy
That's
Order.
a good point. Yeah.
When you choose two, I'd like to see at least an option for something that's a stronger version of your existing Holy Order.
Thematically the same as this, but add, like Protector could add a feat having to do with the fighting style or something.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that.
Agreed.
I like
That's
that a lot, actually.
Yeah, I think that's much better than what they have here.
I mean, that's what they do with feats. What they're going to do with feats, right?
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah,
I
fighting
like it.
styles are going to become feats, I think.
I'm stealing that from my survey, by the way.
Okay. I marked it red for me at mine too.
Taking
Okay,
full
then they give
credit for
you a prepared list of spells. So if you don't want to think about it, you just grab those.
Mhm.
And then we got the life domain. So in the life domain, like we said, the first level spells don't get any domain spells. There's a little bit of changes here. The ones I highlighted are slightly different. No major difference there. Here's one that I was puzzling over why it was done, but I hadn't really played with the min-maxers that Dave had. So Dave, why did they do this change?
The Discipline of Life, it now says that you get the extra healing on the turn that you cast the spell. And the reason for that is that specifically, I think that the out of bounds case that they wanted to patch was the spell Aura of Vitality that was added to the Cleric spell list by Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And if you remember, that spell lasts for, 10 turns, and each turn you get some healing. So when you multiply that duration by the extra bonus with the Discipline of Life bonus, it turns into a huge amount of healing. The same thing applies to Goodberry, but that was sort of more of a corner case, and I think they were comfortable with that. But it's definitely a patch to avoid some exploits.
Okay, then they used to get Preserve Life Channel Divinity at 2nd level, and that moved up to 6th level. So I imagine the extra Channel Divinity powers for all clerics will be 6th level, since they already have 2 from the start. And then Blessed Healer just changed slightly in level, and Supreme Healing, which is very powerful, went from 17th level down to 14th level. So that's pretty strong for a 14th level cleric. All right, then species. So Ardlings. The way to get every animal race in the game at the very start is what this looks like it's a grab for. And it started out kind of themed, like half celestial, so it was getting compared to Aasimars, but now they've went really strongly on the animal ancestry. And I noted one thing about the different animal ancestries that was stronger than all the rest was one of them gives you resistance to cold, which is a really nice resistance to have, actually. And none of the others do, so I think they need to do a little balancing there.
Well, and I don't like the climber.
Yeah.
You have a climb speed, which is always nice, but then it gives you bonus damage to unarmed strike. And this, I've never been a fan of that. You had it with I think it's a Tabaxi gave that to you too, but it really feels like it kind of starts pigeonholing you into playing a monk. Because no other class really uses unarmed strikes unless there's some type of situation where they lose their weapons or whatever the case may be. And I don't know, just not a big fan of that being the distinguishing feature of that species is the unarmed strike.
Yeah.
When only one class really gets that benefit.
Wonder if you could do something with like when you make the attack action, you can take 1 extra attack. So then it'd help all classes. But that's a good point. And then here's where Divine Magic comes in. You get the Thaumaturgy spell, but you can replace it with a different 0-level spell. So you basically have a cantrip of your choice, even though it says Thaumaturgy. Again, like they're doing with everything, they give you an example of the best thing to take or the thematic thing to take, and then open it up after that. And then you're proficient in Perception, and that's it. That's Animal Ancestry. Any other comments there?
I saw a comment online, which was the most brilliant one I thought from the Ardlings, is that you have a shark that can drown, but can breathe air.
Yeah.
So I thought that one was funny. That you're gonna have a shark with
dolphin,
no gills.
Yeah, dolphin, frog, crocodile.
Yeah. But the shark is the one they could potentially drown for being underwater. I love that one. So
that is good.
Okay. Dragonborn.
I love this. This is much better than the Celestial. I mean, I think
that was their goal.
100%.
Here's how you can make a Tabaxi or a Kenku or any other animal race right out of the gate.
Yeah, I like this a lot better. This is a good reset from.
It'll be interesting to see then if none of the animal races ever make a reappearance.
Well, why would you?
Will there be Tabaxi?
So. Well,
they kind of just do this thing.
I don't know.
What you're gonna do? This is when
they have their own unique. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. To me, an Ardling, making Ardlings a unique species is fine, but don't
take
retcon. Yeah, no,
I really like the Herringon, so it'd be a shame to lose them. They're fun with their little hop action.
So what I think this is going to be is a source book. This is going to be a book full of different Ardlings with backstories and alternate rules. I can see this.
You could make one book that was just the Ardling handbook.
Oh, 100% you could. I mean, I'm just trying to make money, but I think you could definitely do it.
I think you fit right in there at Wizards of the Coast.
I would.
All right. Breath weapon. So the Dragonborn, they went back to what was in Tasha. No, this is in Fizzbands, I think, right? Where their breath weapon is an attack. So they can get, 1 breath weapon and do extra attack if they have extra attack. They kept where all breath weapons are basically the same save. And now they added where you can choose the shape of your breath weapon. And then they went back to the damage by tier from it used to be set damage plus your level. And then they also added Draconic Flight, which thematically, I don't really like this, that you just spectrally get wings. I don't, feels dumb.
I don't like it either. Yeah. I agree.
That's my thoughts. What do you guys think?
What if they're really small wings? I think that'd be great. Like they're really small ones.
It always bugs me to, again, and this is the story part of me, the part that, again, has been reading these books for 3 decades, but it bugs me that there has never been Dragonborn with wings like before, and now all of a sudden, yeah, they have these magic wings that appear. I don't know. I like small changes that don't make but that's a big change that I don't care for it.
Okay. Goliaths. Speed of 35 feet. So there's the second species with 35-foot movement. The other one's a wood elf. And then giant ancestry. So the one thing that's the same is Stone's endurance, but then they did other options for each of the other giants. And these are taking quite a bit of the background here from the Ruined Knight, different powers the Ruined Knight has. One of these powers is really strong. Hit a large or smaller creature with an attack roll, and you damage it and knock it prone. No save. It's only when I saw that was like, ooh, that kind of stands out.
Tactics.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased with this change. To me, in the past, and maybe I've missed the memo here. Goliath sort of always seemed flavorless. You wanted to play a big character who was sort of burly and strong, and you wanted to play one that's more conventionally attractive than an orc. So you played a Goliath, but there wasn't a whole lot of flavor for it. And I think really steering into the giant aspect, it really works for me. I think it reinforces the feel in a way that's distinct from just a big guy with an axe.
I agree with that.
Interestingly, it looks like their resistance to cold is gone, which they didn't have at the start, and they gained it for Rime of the Frost Maiden. Perfect timing. And now it's gone again. So
sounds about right.
Yeah.
I think this allows for, this is kind of like the Holy Order thing for me. Beyond just the bonuses and whatever, it allows for different. Now they're not all from the north. You can have a Goliath from Chult. Right, you can have them from all different areas that make sense.
Yeah,
I love it. I mean, anything to, and I can make this. And Dave, don't steal this, but I can make this into a source book too, with all different.
Well, hey, you say that the equivalent of Fizban's Treasure of Dragons, but for giants, I can't remember the title of it. It's coming
Big B's something. Right. Yeah,
and I guarantee you're going to be finding that treatment in here.
Yeah,
it's on its way. You're right.
Right.
Okay.
I'm already putting my vote in for Planescape too, Tom. So you're going to have to run that next year as well. So
I have never run Planescape in my life. So
yeah,
time to learn something new.
2026, I want you to run Dark Sun. So I'm putting my vote in for that as well.
When do I get to run Greyhawk? That's what I want to know. Okay, so I think this is the first time we've seen the ability score improvement feat, although we kind of knew what it'd do. It's 4th level feat. And
why would you even do that with every single one of them having a bonus? Every one of the other feats has a ability score bonus, doesn't it?
They don't have two. This one has
and
2.
I think this one is. Plus, I think to me, what it was just doing is just trying to simplify it. Instead of saying you can either take an ability score improvement or a feat, they make ability score improvement a feat. That's what I thought it was doing. Am I missing something?
No, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the notable thing is that all the 4th level feats now include a +1 to 1 stat. And often they're the same feats as the original 2014 game included, which were supposed to be balanced so that they were roughly equivalent to a +2 ability score improvement. So check my math on this, but a +2 and an extra +1, I think that's better than just a +2.
Yeah, it is. Okay, Aid Spell. Aid Spell is changed from 3 creatures to 6, but it's no longer increasing your max and your current hit points. Instead, it's temporary hit points. I can see why they did this, because that was kind of a real outlier on how spells worked. They tried to compensate, because temporary is nowhere near as good as what it did. And they tried to compensate by making it 6 creatures instead of only 3. And in addition, since it's temporary, in theory it lasts for 24 hours instead of 8. But you're going to take 5 points damage real fast. So It won't last 24
Feels
hours.
like it's too weak for a second level spell.
I think it needs
with
to be
the changes-
10. I think if it was 10 temporary, it might be okay.
Yeah,
Because there's
Or
so
make
many
it
things to
first
get
level
temporary
spell.
hit points.
right.
And why is
Me-
it 6 characters instead of 3 though? Or
So you
6
get your whole
people?
party.
Yeah.
I mean, it
So you
used to
don't
be
have to
such a good
choose.
spell. I would always cast it twice. You'd always do your whole party if you could. If you had the slots. For
Yeah. Not as compelling now. But
No, it's like
see why they changed it.
it's a choice now. You might not take it. Let's see though.
Like
One
guidance.
little tweak on equipping weapons. You can equip or unequip one weapon before or after each attack. It used to say any attack, and maybe that was confusing, and some people thought that meant only one of your attacks. But now it's clear that it's each attack you make, you can equip or unequip one weapon. Banishment, big change here. Range went from 60 to 30, and save every turn. So I think that was direly needed.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's got a mistake in the write-up. They need to change this. I mean, if someone casts it on one of your allies who was, say, a Harengon and a Fey, then they're going to go to the Feywild after the spell's over. That's no good. That's the way it's written up. Any thoughts on that one?
It's been coming.
Yeah, it was direly needed. Okay, Dazed is new. You can move or take an action on your turn, not both. You also can't take a bonus or a reaction. It just gives designers something more to use. Interestingly, the one time they want to use it in these rules, they have to qualify it. If you look back at Turning Undead, they say, well, they're dazed, but the only action they can do is a dash. Why didn't you just say the only thing they can do is move? Because that's the same as what you just said in a lot more words.
How is Daze different from being slowed?
Let's look. I could use Fine.
Well, I know with the slow that I guess slow had the one thing I could think of just off the top of my head is the spell casting part of slowed isn't in Dazed.
Oh, it's gone now though. Interesting. Yeah, it did used to have a spell casting effect, right?
Slow did,
now, movement costs double, and attack rolls have advantage. You have disadvantage on dex saves, but nothing about your spells.
Interesting.
Yeah, little stealth change that I didn't catch. Okay, back to Dazed.
The game's design toolkit desperately needed something between a less punishing condition that had a similar effect to stunned.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, Dave, a monk is going to daze people and not stun people now?
Oh,
I would not be surprised at all.
I think you're right.
I think once upon a time I suggested as a hypothetical design for a monk that makes them a little more fun and a little less tiresome.
A well-played monk means that you as a DM need to double your big bads. You need to have 2 big bads where you had 1. Because a well-played monk will take them out easily.
Yep. That remains one of my most popular blog posts, the one where I talk about how to design a monk that will encourage your DM to cheat.
To cheat. Yep. I've seen
several
DMs cheat with monk.
I'm doing a Tomb Annihilation, and one of your posts was in one of the Reddits, and I ended up on your website and started going down a rabbit hole, and I actually looked at that article today.
Oh, okay. That's makes me happy.
Small world.
Yeah.
Today I know this guy.
Guidance changed. It used to be 30 feet, now it's 10 feet. But they took off the thing that you can only do it once per long rest per target. I'm glad they took off that last part.
They did?
Because I hate tracking, how many times can you affect a person with something. So that's gone. But they reduced the range from 30 down to 10.
I want guidance to not be so spammable. So I'm not happy with that. But
the other option, I was trying to think of ways. I mean, it's like if it could consume something, then that'd be another way to do it. Like it consumed a hit die, but that's too expensive. Some way that you can track it without having to track it as its own special resource.
Yeah.
It's
tricky.
Heroic Inspiration did not change. Influence, they did some wordsmithing on it, I think, to the better.
How about as an alternative, though? You can just say, DMs, use your judgment as to how these non-player characters react.
It's funny because they said that in about a page worth of text. They said in the end, use your judgment.
Yeah.
The DM may shorten or extend, depending on the circumstances. Yeah. I mean, it gives a rule, but like you always see, of course, that gets used against inexperienced DMs, right?
Right. There's always the potential argument where somebody points to the rule book and says, it says I can do this. And Yeah, it's nice not to have to play Mother May I guess, with some of these things, with having a clear knowledge of how something's going to be resolved. But on the other hand, I think I tend to side with the DM.
So the
being
major
the
major
judge.
changes they made were friendly. The charisma check automatically succeeds. Hostile. You can make the charisma check to convince a hostile. The DM might determine that it's impossible. I think it said that before, actually. The DM might temporarily shift a hostile creature to indifferent. So instead of having advantage or disadvantage and shifting kind of mixed together, they separate them out. So you shift it first based on the interaction. And then when you do the ability check, you have advantage on the check if the creature is friendly and disadvantage if they're hostile. So it used to be kind of these two things were mixed together. Now it's like, okay, so an indifferent person, you go up and you ask them something that's really something they'd want to do anyway. They become friendly. Now you make the check with advantage. Or indifferent, you ask them to do something they'd hate to do. They become hostile and you make the check with disadvantage. Minimum DC, they changed this to 15 or their intelligence score. So that's all new. And it's one check per request. So that's new as well. And you have to wait 24 hours to make the same request repeatedly. If your check fails. I mean, if you have a party of 8 characters, I guess you either do it 8 times. If you have a party of 1 character, you only get to do it once. That's funny. Jumping invisibility didn't change. Light weapon. They clarified it a little. Go ahead, Dave.
Tom, can you go back?
Or RL.
Can you go back to the help action?
Help action.
I want to see if this has always been this way. I notice it's you can give somebody help for the attack for the next attack, where maybe I've done it incorrectly up to this point, but like, oh, I'm gonna give Joe or Evan advantage on his attack, but the way it's written, it's the next attack. So your familiar flies in, distracts somebody, gives a help action, and it's the exact next person. I thought I saw that in here.
So the way it was worded,
been?
the way it's worded in 5e, it's kind of could be read either way.
Okay.
This is making it very clear it's the next attack roll. You can't say I'm helping X person over there do it. It's just whoever attacks next.
I didn't catch that change. That is different.
Yeah.
It's pretty significantly different.
Makes more sense.
It makes it easier, I guess.
I mean, that makes absolute sense. But I was like, oh, wait, is that the way it is now? Or
I do wish you still had to, it still doesn't make you stay by them. You can distract them and then leave.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see it where you had to stay there. You can you can distract
wave your hands in front of their face.
Later, someone comes and hits them.
Flap in front of their face.
Not a minute. 6 seconds later, someone comes and attacks them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
actually,
good catch
I like
there,
that
RL.
too. Actually.
Yeah. Okay, we got a light weapon. Just that you have to have 2 light weapons in hand. Long rest. They kind of clarified the wording a little bit, but it means roughly the same stuff. You have to have a hit point to start a long rest. It used to be you didn't get the benefits of one unless you started with a hit point, but you could still take one. Exhaustion being reduced is new, and you have to wait 16 hours. They used to say you could only do 1 per 24-hour period. Now you just wait 16 hours, which is the same end effect, and you can resume, which you didn't have the ability to do before. Just clarifications. That's all the same. Magic action. So we see some other things that are magic actions, like turning is a magic action. Prayer of Healing. So here's another one new and different. You get creatures equal to your spellcasting ability modifier. It used to be you get 6 creatures. So interestingly, Aid got better on number and Prayer of Healing got worse on number. And each of those have to stay in the area. They used to only have to be there when you finish casting. And they get the benefits of a short rest. That's new. And regain hit points. That's the same. But they don't get your ability modifier to those hit points. And here's when you have to track special. Only once per long rest per target, which I hate. Maybe if they spend a hit die or something like that and got the hit die as extra healing and then don't track per long rest. But the fact that they added short rest in there might be why they said once per long rest, because they don't want people getting multiple short rests.
Keep on resetting there. But so remind me, are we going to abilities resetting at long rest, or are we going the opposite?
Most are per long rest now. Yeah. Yeah.
But with the new playtest, what are they going to be?
Most are long rest. Okay. Very few recharges on a short rest that I know of.
Because they're trying to get rid of short rest, it seems like.
It seems that way. Yeah.
At least as a means for recharging character abilities.
Yeah.
Makes it a little easier for...
Spending hit die might still be a thing.
Yeah.
To heal. Resistance, they did the guidance changes to it. So now you do it after they fail a saving throw.
I like that. I think it gives it more utility.
It was hardly ever used before.
Right, because how are you really going to know before the fight starts what you need to resist, and then you're going to waste an action on that.
Unless you're going in to fight a dragon or something, you know you'll have to make a saving throw.
Right,
Big
and then you just
improvement.
cast Hero's Feast.
And track down the green dragon. Sucker. Here's okay. Dave's gonna get salty here. Spiritual weapon. Why don't you walk us through what changed there, Dave?
Oh, well, there's two big changes here. One is that it's now a concentration spell. So forget about casting spiritual weapon and spirit guardians at the same time, which was, of course, my favorite cleric maneuver.
Then you dodge as an action.
And then, and then you wade in and be like a weed whacker. On the other hand, it does increase the damage that you get from us upcasting it to 1 extra d8 per level. It used to be 1 extra d8 per every other level. So that's a little bit of an improvement.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll have any powers that are per 2 levels, because that was always a little weird.
I hated that.
So now this is, this used to be the always take. Now it's maybe not now.
Yeah, I think it's still strong if you're going to cast it at a higher level. If you're a very high level cleric and you want to cast it, I think it's still worth it.
Yeah.
But as one of your second level spells, as a third level cleric, not worth it.
Especially given how few you have.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, by the time you turn third level, you have 4 because you have 2 domain and 2 prepared. Okay, and that is the end of that Unearthed Arcana. So let's see here. I was doing some stuff with your cleric, Dave, and what did I update? So I updated the spiritual weapon, so it should show the spiritual weapon doing the extra damage at 3rd and 4th level. I updated your healing, so your character has the healer feat, which means it gets to re-roll. So the re-rolls are happening automatically here. So it rolled a 1 and a 4, kept the 4. Rolled a 1 and a 4 and kept the 4. Rolled a 1 and a 3, kept the 3.
I got to take off for the night.
Okay, Josh.
I did enjoy our roundtable, and I'll see you guys Tuesday.
See you Tuesday. And, okay, so one thing, I would always do these macros such that it would roll the advantage built right in, or the disadvantage built right in, because in 5th edition as it is now, you always know before you roll if you have advantage or disadvantage. And now with the playtest, it's becoming more and more like you can change it after the roll. And so
you have to re-roll.
Yeah. So I might change my formatting and take out that extra auto roll. So like, for example, Scorching Ray, I have it only make 1 attack roll, and then I have an advantage, disadvantage button in case you get advantage or disadvantage. So a little change there. And then I was looking at the DnD Mini website. Here's a turtle miniature. You don't see very many turtle miniatures.
Oh.
That's in
the website.
That's in the onslaught. DnDmini.com.
Oh, okay.
DnDmini.com, yeah. And they have the new Dragonlance characters out. So these are the ones that are like the sidekicks in the adventure. And they're also the miniatures that are available with the war game.
Really?
Yeah. Got more dragons coming, including the Scopper dragon. Okay. So that's that. Did anyone
have a metal leg?
It had a stand.
Like a prosthetic. Oh, I thought it was a prosthetic leg.
Nope.
Like, oh, that's nice.
So did anyone watch the Hasbro Fireside Chat?
I heard about it secondhand. It surprised me, and I suppose it shouldn't with the CEO of the company and the president of the company. It surprised me how much the Fireside Chat was really directed at Hasbro investors to soothe their concerns about
losing all that money.
About Hasbro, or specifically Wizards, not being able to make as much money as they have in the last few years.
Yeah, and they were real transparent in, what their goals were. And it was like just nothing but how much money can we extract from these customers? So it was really disheartening a little bit to hear that. I mean, not unsurprising, unfortunately. All 3 of the head people, like the head person of Hasbro, the head person now of Wizards, and head person of D&D, because Winninger just, got laid off or fired. All 3 of those people come from Microsoft Games. So all 3 of those people are going to just try and get every little bit of money they can out of the digital side of the game. And the other kind of disconcerting thing we're seeing is wholesale changes. I mean, sometimes there's good reason for it, but wholesale changes in the books on D&D Beyond. So they'll take out whole sections, they'll take out artwork and stuff like that. So, nothing's permanent that you think you own, and you'll be charged for it all the time, is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, unless
more
you
and more.
get it in print.
You gotta get the hard copy, yeah.
Yeah. What would disappoint me specifically is if, with them clearly extending D&D Beyond to include a virtual tabletop, if they tried to start selling miniatures and tiles and things like that as individual objects for, your virtual tabletop. So you'd start having to buy your dragon miniature as a separate thing, or packets of virtual blind miniature sets or tile sets, or all that kind of stuff as separate things, maybe even randomly all packaged random things. That was something they were talking about when they first introduced the idea that they were going to have a virtual tabletop for 4th edition. And of course, nothing ever came of that. But, there's somebody at Wizards who would just love to monetize the virtual tabletop in the same way they do Magic cards or something like that.
Yeah, there's at least 3 people that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I actually see that happening already.
Yeah.
There's another one. It's not the Wizards tabletop, but there's another one where you can actually move a 3D character around the dungeon, and they're selling those individually, right?
Yeah, there's several competitors that are coming into the 3D space, and you can make some amazing looking stuff. There's like a person who does some stuff for like generic stuff, but they also do a lot of Ravenloft stuff, and it's just amazing and really fun. It'd be fun to have that, all 3D tools type of setup. I'm looking for some quotes that I copied from that broadcaster meeting. Read through them here for you guys. Okay. These are actual real quotes from the meeting. We have great fans, but the brand is really under-monetized. When we think about our future monetization, we start here, and they were talking about D&D Beyond when they said that. Digital will help us unlock the type of recurrent spending you see in digital games. And then finally, a recurrent spending environment is what they want. So none of it good. It's nothing talking about how great the product is, how much they're going to grow the customer base. They're just going to have a lot of recurrent spending. That's all I heard over and over.
Yeah.
So it's, it ebbs and flows. People who are in love with the game have control some of the time, and people who are in love with money have control some of the time. And I think we're going to be going to the money ebbing happening soon, which is unfortunate with the whole new edition, because that means it'll kind of color the edition, right? I think they'll be making design choices for this new edition that will support being able to monetize the edition.
Yeah, it's a little disheartening.
Yeah. The good thing is, you get the hard copy and you play your game how you want. They're not going to come to your house and take it away from you. So
can't happen.
Nope.
It's a Belljammer, right? I've got the original before it was cleansed. So
yeah. Okay. So any final thoughts?
Well, you just cost me $49.99 because I'm buying a box of Tomb Annihilation minis now.
Yeah. Did you go D&D mini? I mean, they will suck the money out of you so fast.
I know.
There's so much good stuff here.
I'm getting crazy on the DM guild too, right? So I've been buying a lot of, having these little micro transactions where I bought, $4.99 module here or that, because the Tomb Annihilation,
yeah,
you have to replace a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
right? I don't know if you've ran it before, but
I did.
I've had to replace some locations just because I don't care for them at all, and I know that my characters, the players, are just not going to like it, and I don't want to sit there for 4 hours while they like Camp Vengeance, for example. They would run me off the property. I don't know. So I had to buy some stuff out of DM's Guild and just kind of replace it. So that's my new spending habit.
Here's your pseudo dragon you can buy for your bookshelf. That's like $100.
I know. They'd be right behind me. So I have something set up like you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Nothing like
well,
an addiction. Thank
Then
you.
we'll sign off. Thanks for joining us, RL, and everyone else.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right.
Always a pleasure.
Yep, fun as always.
Good night,
I
David.
will
Night,
talk to
RL.
you guys Tuesday. Night.
Good night, folks.
Bye.